Uh, as has been put forward, this is an emergency statement from my office. Now, in this struggle, we must implement what works. We have to be extremely creative and have an in-depth understanding and foresight of not only the geopolitical reality within which we exist, but constantly adapt our strategy to meet the requirement of a liberation struggle. There is a great difference between agitation within the confines of a nation state to either overthrow a government or to cause reforms. In a liberation struggle, your strategy is designed to dismantle the institutions, both economic, political, and psychological institutions that has granted the occupier political legitimacy, the ability of economic exploitation and control. A liberation struggle is about territoriality, the control of territory, the delegitimization of an occupied system, and the institution of a new political and economic system that responds to the needs and aspirations of those in resistance. The strategy we have put in place in the past 5 years will constantly be adapted to meet the needs of the moment. And they have worked. Self-defense has worked. Though we may see some of the difficulties in controlling territory and in exercising protection over our people, self-defense has been the unique strategy that has undermined Cameroon's ability to protect its political institutions in our country. You may conceive self-defense as fighting La République military. That is simplistic. Self-defense is designed to undermine the institution that protects the political institution that grants an occupying state political legitimacy. Self-defense is designed to disabuse an occupying power of its ability of territorial control. But self-defense is also designed to offer protection to our people and to any institution that we may put in transition to full independence. It has worked. I know Ambazonians are not patient. Ambazonians are always on the move. They feel like everything should be easy. They feel like if you are running 5,000 miles and you do 2,000, you've made an effort and you should be rewarded. In the struggle for independence, effort does not count. If you are not ready for full commitment in your life and treasure as a full-time obligation in the struggle against an occupying power, do not start it. In the struggle for liberation, it's an obligation. It is not effort. It is not I have tried. Thousands of sons and daughters of families have died. And so you don't have any right to get up one day and say, oh, I can give up. No, it doesn't exist in the struggle for liberation. There is no giving up. There is no turning back. It's a commitment to the bitter end We make mistakes, we fix them, and we continue, even in honor of those who have fallen before us. We are suspending the activities of the Catholic mission in Lebialem for the next 6 months. The Catholic mission in Lebialem has been enabling the colonial system, has been enabling them in ensuring their entrenchment in Lebialem, and the deception and manipulation of vulnerable and gullible Ambazonians to raise the white flag and surrender. We will be communicating this to the leadership of the Catholic mission within Ambazonia and the Vatican. The activities of the Catholic mission in Lebialem is suspended for the next 6 months. And we are going to send forces in to ensure that this suspension is enforced. Any institution or individual who enables, collaborates, is complicit with the regime of colonialism and its crime of genocide in Ambazonia will meet the full force of the Ambazonian people. My fellow Ambazonians, I am asking every other group and Ambazonians in general to realize the following. When we prescribe policy, it is for the interests of Ambazonia. It's not for the interests of the Ambazonian Governing Council. Those who see goodness in those policies can copy them and implement them. We do not prescribe policies or articulate them simply to be implemented by the Ambazonian Governing Council, but we do so for the interests of the Ambazonian people. In ensuring that we control Ambazonia, that we make the decisions, that those who levy taxes within our territory are those who are fighting. We have instituted different processes to ensure that politically we demonstrate our ability as the masters of the land. And in defense, we make sure we can arm our forces to the extent to which they can protect our people, defend themselves, and our territorial integrity. When we said a foreign company that racks up a lot of profit in Ambazonia in collecting trash, but makes no requisite investment in that profit, employs few people, has no right to continue to exist within our territory against the interest of our people. We implemented it. We did not simply say they should leave. We provided viable alternatives that can help local businesses gain employment and our people take control of their trash. That's how you take ownership. This is an Ambazonian policy. It can be implemented by any group and any force within areas of their control. They can amend it, they can adapt it to conform to their own geostrategic reality. But this strategy is meant for us to take control. The struggle for liberation is not only about the army, it's not only about territory, it's ensuring that the institutions that exist in your country respond to you, to your laws, to your values, and serve the interests of your people. When we said same about Cam Water, we were clear that they need to pay their requisite taxes to the forces that exist. If you don't, you will get out. Our people have learned in different places, in their various communities, to develop means of harvesting water for themselves. Some of these multinationals have taken over those local initiatives then tax the people and provide water intermittently at very high cost. That is colonialism. That is occupation. And we must dismantle those institutions. When Pa Tasang and the others said there will be no school, we began immediately to work on an alternative because it's easy to forbid. It is difficult to innovate. I put in place a commission that worked for several months, carrying out a comprehensive studies of the 10 best educational systems across the globe, not only in the West, but in countries that look like Ambazonia. They came out with a comprehensive blueprint curriculum of education, which we have provided to different movements and to the community schools in Ambazonia, overseen by the Ambazonia Education Board. Independence means independence. You will not be perfect at the beginning, but if you don't start, you will never, never be perfect. If we wanted AK-47, if we wanted drones, if we wanted RPGs before we began the right to exercise self-defense of our people, we would never have started. We started with bow and arrows, then guns. We are now having all forms of highly powered and sophisticated guns, some manufactured by our people. We sat here in Europe and detonated an explosive device in Ambazonia, thanks to the innovation and creativity of our people. To be free, you must dare. You cannot build on the foundation of the crumbling occupying regime. You must dismantle it. When we provided a curriculum of education, we invested in community schools, and we asking all schools in Ambazonia to transform into community schools. If you don't, we will dig any school from the foundation. Independence means independence. And we ask our parents, our people, not to be sending their children into Cameroon. Send them to community schools in Ambazonia. We will grow. We will limp, we will crawl, but we will learn to walk. And like every other people, we will become sprinters. My fellow people, in the past months, as I promised, I have been reaching out, holding bilateral meetings with other leaders, ensuring we can identify areas of convergence and areas of disagreement, work on those areas of disagreement, and make sure we can begin to collaborate on in those areas of convergence. It has not been an easy work, but we have been making baby steps. I thank those leaders with whom we have had meetings. Some of those meetings have been tense, shouting matches, but we've ended up agreeing to continue to talk on behalf of our people, to act as a united people. I have reached out to some other movements and individuals. I know they are still taking their time. Some have not accepted to meet, but we will keep trying. But I want to send this very strong message to Mr. Chris Anu. I hardly address individuals publicly. Let Mr. Chris Anu know that there are 3 IGs. Thanks to their intransigence and the belief in sabotage and blackmail. Let Mr. Chris, one moment, excuse me. Let Mr. Chris Anu know that thanks to all what they have done, that has led to the death of so many soldiers, we have lost so many blocks. We have lost so many blocks thanks to their arrogance, childishness, and amateurism. It is easy to create a TV and go out and use your large mouth to propagate hate, division, tribalism, and allow others to pick the pieces. But I want to send this warning publicly to him. I hardly do it. I have tried to reach out to them. Every individual, movements, you have the right to criticize the policies of other movements. You have the right to criticize the actions of other movements. These criticisms help those movements to improve on those policies. They help those movements to see gaps which probably they wouldn't have seen without those criticisms. It is now 5 years unacceptable to continue to employ blackmail, sabotage as an instrument of political leadership. It has not served the IG, it has not served the Ambazonian people. If there is any lesson that the IG and Mr. Anu must learn, is that they have helped splintered our struggle, splintered themselves, fought publicly like babies about powers they don't have. If they don't stop, I will work as hard as possible to cut them off from all of the hired forces that they have been using to project an institution that does not exist. This is very important. If they do not step back from the brink of continuous abusing the Ambazonian struggle, I will work extremely very hard to cut them off. It's a lesson they have learned from Sako. His days are numbered within the Ambazonian struggle, not only for the foolishness, abuse of power, corruption, and manipulation and instrumentalization of the Ambazonian struggle for their own ends. It is time for us to bury the hatchet, sit down and talk on behalf of our people, move forward together. We will still have differences like every people, like every family, but there must be lines of communication open to all of us, and we must step back from the public rancor that has given the enemy the opportunity to infiltrate our struggle and the international system the opportunity to term us as lacking the candor and seriousness required in the liberation struggle. My fellow Ambazonians, all cars operating within Ambazonia carrying SEMA number plate, you will not have the second chance. I warn particularly cars operating in Kwen and driving the Akum Santa highways, cars operating in Victoria, every city in Ambazonia that does not fully respect our Monday ghost towns, you will pay the price as a city. This message goes to Mkambe, it goes partly to Boya, it goes to Victoria. All the Ambazonian citizens in this city must know we will delay development in these cities for intransigence, for collaboration, for actions deemed to undermine the struggle for our liberation. Every citizen in this city must take the full responsibility to respect the actions that we put in place in furtherance of our aspirations to totally decapitate La République from our territory. My fellow people, you have been deceived so many times. Fake groups have emerged. Every Ambazonian has the right to freedom of association and assembly, to support our liberation struggle, whether in the humanitarian aspect, political aspect, communication, or whatever. But it's important we focus in self-defense. That is what is going to give Ambazonia respect and recognition. The War Council chairman will be laying out clearly and detailedly our new policy for obligatory enrollment into our defense forces. Every Ambazonian above the age of 20 must learn how to operate an assault rifle. Once you complete the training, which may take a week, you will be issued with a notification. If you are controlled anytime, you have to produce your notification to show that you have been trained to operate an assault rifle. This is not a struggle for the few, where the majority of the people can only observe liberation struggle on Mondays. It is a struggle for 8 million Ambazonians, and we must all commit to it in blood and treasure, and be ready to pay the ultimate sacrifice that others have. People in jail have no life. Those 6 feet are gone. Their memory must be kept alive. They complain all the time. The excuses being put out there, oh this, oh that, is unacceptable. No family is perfect. No family is too cohesive. We have our fights as a people. Having been colonized for 60 years and having asserted our right to live like free people, expect turmoil in our struggle to adjust ourselves to find our feet. This is normal. This should not be an excuse to any community, to any individual, to say, oh, I may abandon the struggle. You can't. No one has the right to even utter that statement. It's a betrayal to those in jail and a betrayal to all those who've paid the ultimate price. My fellow citizens, fellow Ambazonians, the leadership of the Ambazonian Defense Forces reached out to me a couple of weeks ago that they intend to lock the Ambazonian territory for a month. I asked for a justification. We have spoken about that justification for almost 2 weeks. They have good reasons. But these reasons, however justifiable, violate the fundamental principles guiding the Ambazonian Governing Council, that lockdowns should not be overbearing to our population, lockdowns should not be overextended, that provides the enemy the ability to operate with impunity. I have received hundreds and hundreds of messages from our people, from other groups, including the consortium, the Taboo Quifons, expressing their worry about the longevity. I have had tons of meetings with my executive, the generals on the ground. It has been a talk of war. But today I can tell the Ambazonian people that the lockdown is going to begin on Tuesday, the 2nd, and it will end on Friday. The leadership of the Ambazonian Defense Forces should use this period in the way they want. I will address the Ambazonian people on Saturday next week if I receive another request for extension, but it will depend on what happens between Tuesday and Friday. My people, I know lockdowns, they impose additional burden. I am not a big fan of lockdowns, but the justification for this lockdown, the ADF commanders on the ground have never called for a lockdown. This is the first time they all came to me and explained themselves why they need to lock the territory down. And the reasons were justified. But I think we also have to listen to our people. We have to listen to the people. I've listened in the past week. Some have provided justifiable reasons. Others have been whining. In liberation struggle, people don't whine. People don't complain all the time like babies. No, this is a war. And I know it's difficult. I don't underestimate your sacrifices. But my people, they retransferred for 30 years. The South Africans for close to 70. The Palestinians have been fighting for more than 50. And Ambazonians must be brave. We cannot be demonstrating weakness all the time. We cannot be complaining all the time. The difficulties we face as Ambazonians on the ground is not as a result of our forces. It's as a result of the occupation. There are infractions committed by our forces, which we are working all the time to make sure we can address. But the burden on our people has been imposed by an illegal regime of occupation that has used impunity, burning down of villages, war crimes, and genocide as political instruments of control. That is what we need to revolt against. We cannot allow the enemy to drive through our streets, and we are watching. We cannot allow the enemy to eat in our restaurants, and we serve them, to sleep in our hotels, and we serve them. We cannot sell food, and I know the chairman of the War Council would expand on this. Food exportation to La République is banned. Why the lockdown will take place between Tuesday and Friday? Our borders will be controlled. We will control our borders. They should be blocked. Access to La République should be blocked. They are a mortal enemy. There are people who do not respect us. They do not wish us well. We should revolt against this system. We should rise up against it. We should take a firm stand and commitment to live or die free. God bless Ambazonia.
Hail this land of glory. We the Ambazonia, special loyalty. Praises to our Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero who called the lonely gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing rivers and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation.
This has been a live address by the leader of the Ambazonia War of Independence. Thanks for staying with Stay tuned on ACN TV. We will be right back.